How have you been feeling? Do you feel a little anxious lately? A bit tense? Have you been looking at the world situation and wondering how it's all going to turn out? Have you been looking at your own personal situation and wondering how it's going to turn out? Do you feel like things are snowballing and that nothing good lies at the bottom of the hill? That things aren't what they seem to be, or what people who should know are telling us they should be? Do you, by any chance, feel blocked? By blocked, I mean, do you feel a yearning inside for something that you don't know the name of? Something that has absolutely nothing to do with whatever situation the world is in, or that you might find yourself in, personally? Does your solar plexus ache sometimes as you look out of the window at work, or as you're driving home for the evening? Do you want to go somewhere, anywhere, besides where you're going now, but you have no idea where? If any of these questions sounds familiar to you, then you are, indeed, blocked. You may not be blocked in any physical or material sense, but you are definitely blocked, psychologically and spiritually. You are not alone. In fact, quite a few people from all over the world are feeling blocked in this way. How do these blockages express themselves? There are blockages at the lower and higher aspects of consciousness and personality integration. There are blockages stemming from shared racial memories, and there are religious blockages. There are socio-economic blockages and familial blockages that prevent a free flow of energy through your body and leave you feeling restless in the best of cases, and in the worst of cases, drained beyond belief. Coming to terms with the understanding that not everything that we experience originates within the normal three-dimensional world of our five senses can be difficult. Reconciling the fantastic with our own personal history, knowledge, and the societal production that we have internalized and normalized over a lifetime of immersion within the geographic cultural milieu can be a stretch. Added on top of that is the fact that that which originates outside of our normal mode of perception is not necessarily beneficent, which adds rough terrain to the journey between disbelief and acceptance, providing us with many vacillations between the two poles along the way. To get down to the core of it all, it's about energy. It's about your energy and my energy. It is about the energy of your family and the energy of people who are like you, ethnically and racially. It is about the energy of your various soul groups, people who may not look like you, but who share certain psychic characteristics that bind you together within space and time, as well as without, whether or not you actually meet upon this earth plane during this particular incarnative period or not. It is about the energy of all of humanity, and the energy of this planet, and more than that, the energy of this solar system and galaxy. And at the highest material level of aggregation, it is about the energy of this universe, and one of an infinite number of universes within our multiverse, also one of an infinite number. All are proceeding towards some inscrutable date with destiny through the process of evolution as creation becomes, and all that is melds all that was and all that ever shall be in the cosmic dance of the Kali Yuga, our time outside of time, beyond Mayan and Julian calendars, and all conceptions of mortal yearning and concern. But to get back to the topic at hand, energy flow, everything is comprised of energy. Even a thought is a thing, is a form of energy. Harkening back to the first thought, energy, leading to the first word, energy, through which all of creation became, or, as thrice great as Hermes Trismegistus stated, God created the divine beings who comprised the workings of the cosmos, attaining God's status themselves, and then came humankind, expressive of the divine demiurge made manifest through flesh to rule the material kingdoms in lieu of the immaterial one, the original Logos. Humankind, blessed or cursed with a dual earthly and unearthly composition, created its own gods and goddesses, imbuing form with spirit, worshipping according to their needs, exchanging energy as part and parcel of one reality, one holistic, all-encompassing reality, one greater energetic being comprised of smaller and individuated component shards of consciousness. Energy moving slow is dense and manifests as form, while energy that moves faster is ethereal, gaseous, and immaterial, sometimes discernible by human senses and sometimes not, being beyond the capacities of our limited perceptual organs to sense directly. Our dense material bodies vibrate at a certain level that we generally share in common to a greater or lesser extent, which is why we are all visible to one another and why we resonate, vibrate with some people more so than others. We ingest plants and animals as our food, rarely pausing to think that the fleshy matter of beasts and plants that we eat is really energy slowed down with the breath of life infused within it, which we then ravenously consume in order to satiate our own energy needs. We rarely think about the fact that, to the plants and animals that we eat, If they were possessed of a similar type of consciousness and mental capacity, the entire process must seem horrendously capricious and quite possibly diabolical. Taking on the perspective of prey rather than predators, the stuff of nightmares and horror movies in Western culture. Aliens, psychopaths, monsters, and ghosts all play the role of inhuman predator, feeding upon our flesh, utilizing and/or transforming our bodies, making us into something other than ourselves. The collective zeitgeist plays upon certain symbolic archetypes that give rise to primeval feelings of dread and dismay that we enjoy to a large extent as they awaken feelings of helplessness and powerlessness that, perhaps, speak to humanity's place within the greater cosmos. We pretend to the throne of knowledge, but somewhere deep inside each of us, we are quite well aware that there is more going on in the world than we consciously choose to know. There are human knowledge traditions that speak to this hidden version of reality, that speak to the blockages and the level of human consciousness directly, that speak to the realities of our world that are generally not a part of the collective consciousness, but which are being returned to that surface of awareness by what seem to be concentrated media campaigns and large-scale events as the world draws closer and closer to what many are deeming to be a shift in awareness that will encompass the entire multiverse. How that will manifest itself or when is anybody's guess. But what is beyond guessing is your innate knowledge that something is going on, or, as Morpheus said in The Matrix, you don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. The blockage that you are experiencing is integrally related to this, to the fact that the world is changing almost too fast to comprehend, that things which have been hidden are coming to light, and things which have been unseen are becoming available to sight. It is understood by those who have done the research that the entertainment industry is and has been used in order to prepare large audiences for things that are occurring but that are beyond the ken of general knowledge. As we trudge along, stuck within the miasma of our daily toil, UFO sightings are exploding, strange creatures and encounters of the third and fourth kind are becoming more and more common. The weather and the planet itself seem to be heralding some sea change announcing a new relationship between humanity and our Mother Earth. But none of this is happening in a vacuum. Become familiar with Google and the ins and outs of the so-called conspiracy and New Age online communities, as well as the field of quantum physics, geography, history, and archaeology. Research the Nag Hammadi scripts, look up the archons, read the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Enoch, and learn about the fallen ones. Seek knowledge regarding the powers and principalities that the Bible speaks of, the Nephilim and the Anunnaki. Try to find out who the Watchers were and are. If you're feeling really courageous, look up some information on reptilians, the physical ones from Draconis and the ones that you can't see, that exist at higher planes of density, vibrating too fast to be visible to earthly eyes. Hitler's Nordic Ubermensch was indeed tall, with blonde hair and blue eyes, and quite possibly from the Pleiades. The little gray guys you see in the movies aren't always little. Sometimes they're tall and thin, sometimes they look almost like you and I, and sometimes they swim in pools of blood, entrails, and viscera. Why, you might ask? Well, to eat, of course, since they must consume their human victuals through their skin, as their insides don't quite work right anymore. Time and faster-than-light travel, genetic sequencing and mutations, abductions and changelings, visible and invisible entities with inscrutable and mind-bending technology, much of it designed to keep you docile and living your life as a member of the herd. You are never to become aware that the very emotions you call your own are manipulated to produce spikes of energy which are then cold and imbibed like a fine wine, the vagaries of sensate differentiation, subtle palates of an alien ultra-dimensional connoisseur's delight upon some nearby but adjoining level of consciousness. I suppose it's easiest to think of it in terms of the Matrix. Like the movie, except in reality, humanity is nowhere close to winning the war, which is only partly against machines, material and ethereal, which are tools that create and sustain some of our blockages to our natural psychic abilities. It is in the best interest of your herders to clip your wings, or cut your Achilles tendon to keep you down in the pasture rather than out on the range or flying free high in the sky. It is in the best interest of those who consume you like food to keep your disbelief intact, to keep you from realizing until the very last moment that all of your deepest fears are true. But don't believe me, do your own research. And oh, by the way, how's that feeling of being blocked right this moment? You went away for a bit, didn't you? Don't lie. As you were listening to this, you felt free, didn't you? Released from the burden of your consciousness, or rather the consciousness of the foreign installation masking as yourself. The flyer that eats your shining coat of consciousness, the Lizzie that lies at the other end of the food chain, and the entities in between you and it that serve vast, inscrutable, and malignant purposes beyond your conception. Rather than being depressed or shaken by the realization that the world, that creation, is more than you've ever realized, take this opportunity to control your own emotional body for a change and cultivate joy at the realization that you are finally coming to terms with the fact that you have chosen ignorance over knowledge for far too long. You won't have to wait too long for confirmation. In fact, if you take the time to research any of the terms I've shared above, you might find your confirmation already lying in wait in the dustbin of your own past experiences, perhaps purposefully concealed from you or half forgotten, just awaiting the clear light of your conscious recognition. And if you're reading this and all you're experiencing is rage and disbelief, or you want to find me and cut my throat, then you're not my target audience. In fact, you are the implacable and remorseless foe, the terrorist to my weak, the soulless to my unsouled nature, and you know it. But there is room in this world for you too, for a time.